We would all wish for a happy ever after. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen in dark tales. Hello and welcome to the Bottled Imp, exploring the realms of fantasy. This is a Bottled Imp Dice Tower edition. We have our own YouTube channel, so check that out. My name is Ken Boyter, and today we are looking at the card game Dark Tales. It is a 2 to 4 player card game. Nearly forgot how many players it was there. And it runs for about 30 minutes. It's from DV, or that might be Dv, I don't know how you pronounce that, in true Bottled Imp style. Giochi. Again, don't know how to pronounce that. And also it's got a game idea here by, and again it's names I can't pronounce, and the artwork's by Danny Osrio. Again, I can't pronounce these names, but I tell you what, let's find out how dark Dark Tales really are. Let's take a look at what you get in the box. Well, it's basically a mixture of cards and tokens. Now you get various different types of cards. These ones are the playing cards, and they are various different types of cards, as you can see, with beautiful artwork. And those will form your hand. You also get setting cards A and setting cards B, and what they do is that's basically little perks and scoring throughout the game and also at the end of the game. Plus you get your tokens, you get your magic wands, naturally it's a fancy game, plus you get your swords, you get your armour, and also you get your gold tokens. And you also get victory points. Now these are various denominations, 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, that kind of thing. And these are meant to be little gems, and those are your victory points. Now the object of the game is to, as you probably guessed, get as many victory points as you possibly can. And you do that, as I say, through various ways of scoring during the game, and also there's end conditions where you can score victory points. And the end of the game is when all of these cards are run through and they've been played. So let's look at exactly how you play it. Now the setup is exactly like this. What you do is you divide all these tokens up so you can clearly grab them when you need them. Plus you then shuffle the playing deck, but before you do that you actually take one of these cards, which is a night card, and you take that out and you place it next to the playing deck. And so what it means is that the game starts and the condition is night time. So there are special abilities on the cards that happen when it's night time, and consequently there will be cards in the deck that are daytime, and you can play those to change the day. And you'd want to do that because you might have cards that have special abilities when they trigger when it's daytime. Now what you do is you then shuffle these and you deal each player 3 cards face down. These are secret and you don't reveal your cards until you play them. And what you also do is you take deck A, which is these ones, deck A, and these are the scoring or little perks that will happen throughout the actual game. And what you do is you shuffle these, there's only 3, you shuffle them and you flip one up in random, and you basically look at the conditions of how you score or get extra perks. So for example, this one is if you discard an armor token plus a sword token, you will then get to draw 2 cards and get 3 victory points. And there's another one there as well, and they're all different. So that's the condition for scoring and getting little perks throughout the game. Then you take deck B and you do exactly the same. Now these are the conditions that you'll be able to score or gain extra gold at the end of the game. So remember, you're trying to get victory points. So for this one, you'll get, if you discard a armor and a sword, you actually get 3 gold. Plus you also can, there's a second condition as well, for every gold you get victory points. And if you don't get gold, you might get minus victory points. So those are the conditions at the end of the game. That's how you score at the end of the game. And as I say, it's the person with the most victory points. So that's what you've got to bear in mind. So obviously each time you play it, the conditions will vary. So how do you play a turn? Well, on your go, you have 3 options. You'll have your cards, and as I say, you keep them secret, but I'll just show you my set here. So what you do is you will draw a card and you will add it to your hand. Then what you do is you will then, if you have the little items that you've already collected, you can then play those to gain your victory points or whatever else, little perks you might get like that when you get a gold and a victory point. But obviously if you haven't got any items, then you don't do that. So that particular one is an option. Whereas drawing a card at the beginning of your go is actually a must. You have to do that. So once you do that, you then decide which one of these are you going to play. And then you simply play a card. Now you must do that. Now what you do is you will then look at where your actual card goes into the playing area. And down here at the bottom, what's that? Bottom left, I think. If I can get my left and right the right way around. There's a little symbol, you might not be able to tell, but there's a little symbol and that's just two cards next to each other. And that means that when I play this card, I'll be placing it in the common area, which is this area here. And you can have as many cards as you like in this common area. There are duplicates of cards, so what you do is you simply then place them on top of each other. And you can look through to see how many of each are in each stack throughout the game. Then, if there is another symbol that says, let's have a look, oh yeah, this one here is a little stack of cards down at the bottom, then what that means is that that is a discard. So when you play that one, you'll discard it into the discard pile. And if there is one here that has like a little person symbol down in the corner, then that means you'll be playing it in your own playing area right in front of you. And that normally means that's a permanent effect. Sometimes the cards will disappear if they've got a little bit of text that say after a condition happens, it triggers it, it can go to the discard pile. And that's exactly where you're going to be playing your card. So when you play your card, so say I played this hidden cave, what you'll be doing is you'll be seeing how many victory points you actually get, and that's denoted here. And in this case it's 2. So you'll always pretty much be getting victory points when you play a card, just outright. And you'll just simply take 2 of those, or however many is indicated, and put them into your little victory point pool. That's quite difficult to say actually. And then it also has some abilities here. Now in this case it says take 1 magic wand, hurrah, and take 1 gold coin, hurrah. And it's duplicated here, so you've got the symbols to tell you exactly what this card does, plus it also spells it out for you in words, and that's a good thing. So it's not duplicate in terms of you don't get that and that, you just get 1. But that's, if you start learning the symbols, you can obviously speed up the game by just looking at the symbols. So when you first play, you're probably going to be reading the text. So once that's played, you take your victory points and then you do whatever the card says, and it's that simple. And then once your turn has been resolved, obviously the next player goes, and they do exactly the same. They draw a card. If they have any of these tokens, they can play those to get any of the perks, and then they must play a card. And it's as simple as that. The end game is when all of these have been drawn and the deck has nothing left, and then the first person to play all of their cards, that's it, it's the end of the game. And then you score. So obviously you'll be scoring, hopefully, if you've met some of these conditions, your victory points here, and also when you get victory points here. So you'll have a big pool of these and you'll add all them up. Plus, remember, there were some end conditions where you can score victory points or lose victory points in some cases. And once you've got the totals, whoever has the most has won. Yay! Now there are a few other things I'd like to point out. For example, there is another symbol on here, and this one here is a little castle in yellow, and that denotes that that card is the place. There are other types of cards, so for example, this sort of Harry Potter-esque type lightning bolt in red, that actually denotes that this card is an event. This one, for example, has got a silhouette of a woman's head, so this card is a female. So there are different types of cards that you'll get. So what may happen is some of the text on your card may say, discard a male card to gain a gold, that kind of thing, or discard a male and a place to gain a gold or gain a victory point. It's that simple. And then obviously with this common area, if you have an ability that says discard a place, or whichever card type it says, you can use these to actually discard. So you'll say, I'll discard, So say those were in the common, you could say, I'll discard a place and I'll discard a female, and you put them into the discard pile. And it's as simple as that. Now the other thing that I'd like to point out is with the victory points, obviously you're going to be gaining a lot of victory points throughout the game. So this is one of its downsides. We found it to be very fiddly to constantly be taking them in, and when you got a load of pile of ones, you cash them in. But apart from that, the game ran pretty well. We really did enjoy this. It's a lot of fun. The artwork is amazing. You know, really lives up to its name of Dark Tales, as you can see from this one. Some really kind of gothic fantasy type artwork. They're beautifully done. There's also a slight problem with the rulebook in terms of when I looked at the setup, hopefully you can see that, the common area, you see it's got 3 cards here. I thought it was limited to only 3 spaces in the common area. So any that was meant to go that was over, we were just putting in the discard pile. And it meant that some of the mechanics that triggered that you could access these cards didn't quite work that well. So it would have been nice if they just put a little plus next to that, because in the rulebook it doesn't really indicate that you can play as many cards as you like down here, and it can just go, you know, you can put 7 or 8 of the different types of cards here. So the rules could be a little bit clearer. But apart from that, really like this game. It's fast and it has enough strategy. It's light strategy, but because it's so simple, we played it wrong first of all, and then we cottoned on and said that can't be right. The second time we actually were developing some strategies, so we were actually resolving the cards, developing some strategies, and found it was a really enjoyable game, and we wanted to play it over and over until the end of the night. Anyway, so I would definitely recommend that you check out Dark Tales. So there you have it, Dark Tales. As I say, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out other videos that we do on our Bottled Imp channel, and we've got all the social media stuff, all of that kind of malarkey. Just to point out, there are a few expansions for this, so I might well be checking those out. And remember, fellow imps, keep it unreal, because it's fantasy, isn't it?
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.